Hey everybody, it's DigiBro. So I recently put together this chart called A Guide to Cute Girls Doing Cute Things, and I thought about making a video adapting it just because it took me days to put together, and I spent some time, going over it with different people, noticing lots of spelling errors, a couple of placement errors, and then I was arguing about it on 4chan for a few hours the other day. And I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of explain the methodology behind this chart, like what purpose it's meant to serve, why some of the decisions were made for how they are. And then today, all of a sudden, the chart just blew up really huge on r/anime on Reddit, so I figured I should do that now. I was going to hold on to this thing and edit it and do different things to it or possibly shop it around, but now that it's already blowing up and it's going to be everywhere, I figure I should, explain it first. So, from the top, we have an explanation of what it is. One of anime's most controversial and prolific genres is that of cute girls doing cute things. Now, this is the first place where this has become kind of a source of contention with people about this list, is that not all of it is straight up cute girls doing literally cute things. The reason I kept putting it in quotations throughout this chart is that I don't really take that seriously as an actual genre title. The point of this is that it shows where cute girls are a part of the focus. These are all shows with all female casts that are deliberately trying to avoid the presence of men and trying to fill their shows with cute girls. The protagonists are multiple cute girls. And that is a part of the appeal. It's intrinsic to why you watch the show, is that it has cute girls as the characters. And doing cute things, to me, is such a vague and just nothing, clarification of genre. I mean, if we're going to talk about these shows in terms of genre, then that's not a helpful way to do it. We could divide different types of slice of life into yashike and comedies and different things like that, but just doing cute things I think is largely unhelpful, and I think it's mostly been used as kind of a pejorative or as a meme. Like, people will accuse shows of just being cute girls doing cute things when they don't want to seek a deeper understanding of them. So the point of this chart really is to show that there's all these different kinds of thematic ideas that can be explored with these shows full of all-girl casts, where some of these, you might look at one category and see one show that does seem like the girls are doing cute things and another one where they're not necessarily, but nonetheless they have the same kind of thematic ideas, and that's really what these groupings are based on. To continue what this says, contrary to many assumptions, there is a spectrum of subcategories for these kinds of shows and a broad swath of quality represented in the genre. This chart is meant to introduce new viewers to each type of cute girls doing cute things anime and to recommend the best starting points for getting into them. It is not a comprehensive list of shows in each category, nor even of all the good ones, for the research is encouraged if you find yourself interested. So, the thing about this is that it's not a recommendation chart per se. This is a chart for understanding these genres. It is not a chart for recommending you all great shows. A lot of stuff listed on this is not even that good. It's more about getting a sense of the different kinds of things that this genre can do. So for instance, first we have Cute Girls Do High School, with Azumanga Daioh being the classic. It's the progenitor, I don't know how to pronounce it, or spell it apparently, of the genre, because it was a show that really established a lot of the formula of what it is for cute girls to be in high school. Like, it's a show about these characters starting off at the beginning of their first year. They just kind of hang out and grow together. They kind of grow into one another. The characters all become sort of a unit, and they become people who depend on each other and learn from each other. And then at the end, there's this very emotional graduation scene. It's about that little time window and how the characters grow between when they start and when they finish, and all of these shows in this category have some element of that. That's why K-On! Is not in the Cute Girls Do After School Clubs category, because K-On! Is really about the same thing that Azumanga Daioh is about, and it really explores it more in terms of those themes. Azumanga Daioh is mostly about cute fun. It's mostly a daily life show that has these kind of things in the background, like a thin veneer of narrative to string it all together. K-On! Kind of goes all in on that narrative and really explores it, especially in the second season. Manabi Straight is full in on the narrative, and almost, you know, like the daily life stuff takes a back seat, really. That show is openly talking about the fact that it's about, you know, high school and what it means. Hidamari's sketch is sort of a cross in between Keion and Azumanga Daioh in terms of tone, and Lucky Star is much more of the daily life kind of stuff. It doesn't have as much of the being about high school, which is kind of why I put it at the back of this category, because it almost is a cute girls just doing fun things show, which is a category we'll get to in a second. It almost doesn't have a lot to do with high school. The early episodes are more focused on school, and there's definitely parts here and there, but it still has a, you know, it ends with a graduation and everything. It still has a lot of the elements of the genre. So that's sort of what this category is. And all of these are great shows. All 5 are fantastic. And this is, I think, the most well-realized of these genres. Now, not all of the other examples that I give necessarily fit into the entire arc that I'm describing here, you know? And some of these, like Gabriel Dropout, I just assumed it went there, but I haven't actually seen it. And from what I've heard, it might actually be better as a supernatural show. But, you know, a lot of these have elements of what's going on in these shows, and that's what they're kind of closest to. So then we get into cute girls who do after-school clubs. Now, I made a huge mistake on this part of the chart because I put in Joshiraku, which is not an after-school club at all. I didn't realize that. I watched the first episode back when it aired, and I barely remembered it, so I just had assumed, I guess, that it was a club, and totally forgot. I think I just didn't know what Rakugo was at the time. I'd never heard of it until Rakugo Shinju, and I didn't know that that's what these girls were doing. But the point of this category is that while there are elements of the high school show, elements of the emotional coming together, you know, informing one another's growth, these shows are really focused on the activity. If you watch Bakuan, it is all about motorcycles. It's not really about the school life or anything. And in fact, a lot of the show takes place out of the school because the girls are off doing their motorcycle stuff. Sabagebu is all about the airsoft stuff. That show's much more comedy focused, but, you know, Joshiraku, which again is not a does not really fall into this category. It might be better off in the spastic comedy. I'm not sure. It's a hard one to place. I don't know if it counts as workplace either. I'd have to have consultation on that one, but it's similar in that it's about the thing that the girls are doing, like what their thing is that they're all doing together. GA is all about making art. It takes place in an art school. Stella no Maho is all about making video games, and the narrative arc is about how these characters grow as artists specifically. So that's why the after-school clubs is distinct from this. Even though they're both in high school, these ones really are about the activity. And like K-On!, while they are doing light music, and that is important to the story, I don't think that you could safely say that the show's mostly about light music. You know, they occasionally play some guitars and stuff. Like, not to say that they're not, like, a lot of the show is in the club room. A lot of it is club activity, but it is not actually related to what the club is about, which is kind of the joke. Like, that's what half the dialogue in the show is about, is that they don't do their club activity. These girls in these shows, they actually do the club activity for the majority of the time. So now we've got cute girls do fun stuff together. This is just shows that are tonally almost exactly the same as the high school shows, but they don't have that all-important arc, and they're not necessarily focused in school itself. These characters largely are in school. They are high schoolers or middle schoolers, but they, you know, the show's not really focused on what that means or developing these characters and how they function as a group together. It's more just about watching them have fun, often with very specific topics. Like in Gochiusa, they're all in a coffee shop, and they kind of hang out there and, you know, talk about coffee. Kofuga Graffiti is about eating. Minami K is more of just a fun time with 3 rambunctious sisters doing, you know, whatever with their friends. These shows are just a lot more general, and they don't have that sense of, like, focus that the other shows do. Not in a bad way. Tamako Market I almost didn't put on this list because it has a lot of male characters in it, and the movie goes into becoming just a romance series as opposed to a more cute girls thing. And that's something that Kyoto Animation's kind of done a lot of over the recent years of their shows, is that they take the idea of the cute girls show, but then they kind of twist it and they don't make it just about that. So Tamako Market, like on the surface, there's 4 high school girls who you start off the show watching them, you know, on their way home, or 3, and, you know, they're best friends, and you're thinking it'll be about them doing cute stuff, but there's plenty of other characters and other things that are relevant that that go beyond that. And Minami K has lots of male characters too, but I still think it's mostly focused on like these three girls and what they're up to. So then we get into cute girls doing supernatural stuff together. This is basically the same thing as the last category, except with a supernatural edge. Maid Dragon, Kamichu, Magical Pokan, Kimono Friends, Nekugami. Probably should have had, again, we probably should have had, what's it called in there, Gabriel Dropout. I haven't seen it yet, which is why I did, I just kind of put it wherever I thought it seemed like it felt. But yeah, these are just fun shows that happen to have a supernatural edge to them, and it does give them a very different feeling from the other ones, because we're kind of putting this in like a whole different context. Like if you watch Maid Dragon, the fact that they're dragons is pretty important to the way that the characters act and think and everything. So even though it is just fun times, it's a different brand of fun times, one that's more couched in what these characters are. So then we have cute girls doing sports and games. So these are basically just sports shows. This is where we get away from it's like cute girls doing cute things per se. These have a clear sports narrative. It's just that these shows are also using the aesthetic element of it's a show about a bunch of cute girls, and they still have a lot of the stuff that those shows bring. Like if you watch Saki, it feels like if K-On! Characters became in a sports show. Like it's that kind of characterization, that focus on how cute the girls are, what their distinctive traits are, this lack of male presence, almost. I mean, Saki has male characters, they're just so back. In fact, all four of these, or all five of these, except maybe Keijo, have some male characters in them. They're just very much a non-entity. They're a non-presence. In Saki, there's like men who are there in the beginning, and they just kind of get phased out as it goes along. And Bamboo Blade, some of the characters even have boyfriends, and there is a coach, but it's kind of like they're besides the point. They're kind of just there to guide the plot, but they're not being fussed over in the way that like a male character in, let's say, Seito Kai no Ichizon or something, where that's a show that, even though it's plot-wise almost the exact same as a club show, because it's about 5 characters in a club just having nonsense conversations, the fact that the main character is a man means that there's this constant undercurrent of the sexual tension of like what each girl means relative to him as opposed to relative to themselves and relative to each other. These cute girl shows are more about the individual cult of personality of the girls as opposed to like what a guy gets out of it by being around them. So that's why, these sports shows, they're still about the girls and their sports narratives, regardless of whether they've got a coach who's a guy or something. I mean, like Rokubu maybe stretches it a little bit and is a little bit more about the guy than the others, but, I still think it's worth including. Cute girls do badass action. Now, this one is a little bit more here and there. Like, I don't think Read or Die is necessarily intended to be a cute girls thing until you get to the TV show, where they obviously like in the original OVA, the girls are just these kind of sexy women who just happen to be the main characters of a big action plot. But it's not like all the enemies are women or anything. And that's not the case with this TV show either, but the TV show has a lot more of these cute girls doing cute things elements, especially with the young character Anita, and her relation. She has like a borderline Yuri relationship in the show that feels exactly like something out of one of these high school shows. And even My Hime, which I say in the type, like that show had lots of male characters and was very focused on romances and drama, but I think it informed where this genre went. Like, I think a lot of the style of My Hime, the way that these characters were characterized, the kinds of action that it has, were informative towards shows like maybe Symphogear or something. These shows that went on to be cute girls kicking ass. I think they borrowed a lot from My Hime because it was a really popular show from 2004, right before this whole cute girls thing really opened up in a really big way, So I would say it's informative of the genre, if not necessarily a clean-cut example of it. Gunbuster and Diebuster are, I think, early examples of it, because I do think that the fact that they're all women was really integral to like what the writer was going for with those shows, especially with Gunbuster. Like, I mean, I guess with both, just it's definitely meant to be like a girl power. Like, these are attractive women who are kicking ass. Like, that is important that they are women. who are doing all these things, and that it's an all-female core cast. Nanoha obviously is a bunch of fucking adorable lollies. Symphogear's similar and has Yuri hints, I think. Cute girls do the workplace. This is pretty self-explanatory, except for some of the examples are weird. So Shirobako, this one, and I say this in here, that there's such a huge cast, and it's so not focused on the cuteness of the girls that it almost doesn't count, but I really think Shirobako, not unlike those Kyoto Animation shows, operates within the spirit of the genre, even as it twists it and goes somewhere else. Because, I mean, if you look at all the advertising for the series and the way it's presented, it's about 5 cute girls who, go into the workplace. And while it has a very realist approach, those girls never stop being a bunch of cute, adorable girls who you want to watch do their best. It's not super moe, but it is there. It clearly comes from that place. It doesn't necessarily stay in that place, but that's sort of where I feel like it has its roots, So while it is a lot more than a cute girls show, that doesn't mean it's not a cute girls show. But like, New Game is just a cute girls show, So like, it just kind of expands on it a little bit. Sora no Oto is one that I really struggled with where to put it, because on the one hand, like, it's definitely not a military action show in the sense that it doesn't have a lot of very specific military stuff. Like, when we get to that category, what characterizes a military action show is that it's filled with military otaku stuff. Like, the planes are all real planes that were really flown in real wars. The guns are all real guns, everything like that. And, like, Sora no Oto is fairly realistic and has a lot of detail in its setting, but it's, like, sci-fi spider tanks and shit. And, like, a totally fictional world, and it doesn't focus on the military aspect of it. The girls are in the military, but they're a band, and they spend most of their time dicking around in an abandoned castle. And so it's kind of slice of life. It's kind of cute girls do fun things, but it also gets serious a lot of the time. And really, the one thing that the one through line through all of it is that they're doing their job. They're out here at this military outpost, and most of the events that they get into are involved with their work there. So I think it's falls into this more as a technicality. I don't think the vibe is the same as the other shows in this category, but it is a type of workplace. And I mean, anyone who's worked in the military could tell you that you spend most of your time sitting around bored and wondering what the fuck you're doing there. So, it's an accurate one. So then we get cute girls do military action, which, as I've clarified, is mostly about the realism of the stuff. In Girls und Panzer, even though it's like a high school club show, almost a sports show, the tanks are all these real tanks, and there's this hard military knowledge behind it. These are the kind of shows, if you go to a panel for one of these at a convention, because I've seen panels for like Girls und Panzer and Kantai Collection and stuff, and Strike Witches even, they talk a lot about the background, like where these tanks come from, what's their history, why are they important, and what wars did they fight in. Like, that's the kind of appeal this has. It's a crossover between these two different kinds of otaku who love military shit and otaku who love cute girls. So, like, that's why Sora no Oto doesn't really feel like it belongs in this category. But these are shows that are extremely, like, cute girl centric. Like, they always have a giant cast of super adorable girls, and usually a pretty good amount of fan service in them, all because, I mean, the military stuff itself is fan service for fans of the military. Cute girls do suffering. This one I think is kind of self-explanatory. I saw some people complaining that some of these choices, they're not they don't have unhappy endings, but that's not the point. It's not about whether or not it's actually dark in the end. It's about the fact that these are unsettling. These make you feel uncomfortable. They make you feel like something bad could happen. Like Gakko Gurashi is for the most part just actually a school life show. It just has this really dark undercurrent that makes all of it feel wrong. And that's why, it fucks with you. And the girls are suffering in this situation, even if the moment to moment experience of it is mostly that of a Cute Girls Do High School kind of show. It even has a graduation kind of thing in it, like those shows do. It's just that it's taking all that and perverting it and making it into this unnatural, strange feeling thing. So, that's what the sort of joining thread of these all is. Some of them are more cute girlsy than others. I would say We Cross has a little bit more relationship drama and stuff like that. And it's not as cutesy, but, you know, again, this is mostly focused on, these are shows about all female casts, and them being cute is part of the point, if nothing else. So then we got cute girls doing precocious kids stuff. This is just, these are very similar to the cute girls doing fun stuff shows, except they're even younger. And there's this kind of focus on this whimsical nature of these kids who don't understand the world fully, and that's why they do some of the things they do. You know, Nun Nun Biori kind of stretches it a little bit because some of the characters are older, but there is a lot of focus on the younger characters and on like Renge and her little adventures, so I think it still falls in there. Some people argued that show should be considered Iyashikei. I could see it because it's real fucking slow and it is fairly soothing, but I do think it's a little bit more focused on comedy than some of the other Iyashikei shows we'll be talking about. Like, I wouldn't say Aria ever particularly tries to be funny. Like, it has a sense of humor, but it's not ever gonna make you laugh. Nonan Biori, I think, is oriented more towards that. It is trying to be like a fun time, as opposed to just purely like you just, you know, injected a bunch of heroin into yourself. Cute girls do buddy cop and hero stuff. So this is like a classic genre, and I included this not because I think it feels the same as the Cute Girls Do Cute Things show, but because I think this leads us down the path towards them. I think this kind of represents this growing obsession that was happening with having shows full of cute girls and like focusing on that kind of cast rather. Like, Gunsmith Cats is mostly a pulp series. It didn't have to be cute girls, and in fact, Writing Bean, the original series that it kind of spawned out of, was just a cool action guy pulp series. And then Gunsmith Cats is like, what if we took that and it was cute girls? You know, You're Under Arrest is like, what if we took a buddy cop, but it's cute girls? Bubblegum Crisis, what if we took Transforming Hero Squad, but it's cute girls? You know, so Cleopatra, what if we took Batman, but it's cute girls? So like, these are shows that were kind of pulling us in this direction where it's like, let's just take every genre, every convention, and make it a cute girl thing. Let's make cute girls the forefront of these stories, this sort of saleable element. And I think it was when we got into the 2000s when people started to realize that we don't have to use the genre trappings, we can just have the cute girls, which I know disappoints a lot of people, because people who miss these shows, because I've seen a lot of people saying, man, I really miss Cute Girls Do Buddy Cop and hero stuff. And that's understandable because you like those genres and cute girls. And I just think that those genres have faded in popularity and cute girls haven't, you know. But we've got a lot of other cute girl genres emerging now, like the badass action and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it would be nice if these came back, but these are just kind of the genres that they are, just aren't really around anymore, which is why we're probably not going to see a resurgence of buddy cop cute girl shows. So then we have Cute Girls Do Drama. Now this one is really borderline. Like, this one, almost, these shows, some of these are just kind of shoujo anime. It's just that they have more focus on cute girls than what would be typical of that. That the character designs and the kind of marketing and everything about them feels like it's trying to bring these two worlds together. Hibike Euphonium is the perfect poster child for this, because if you look at like the first opening song, or like what the advertising was, or just the feel of the early episodes of the show, it feels like it's going to be an after-school club show. It's like, you know, these are K-On!-esque kind of moe blobby girls. You know, the girl named Sapphire, who's like a cutesy little adorable girl. But then you have this hard edge of drama that's apparent from pretty early on, but then that becomes really the focus. And it's not really a cute girls doing high school show. It's really a drama show where it just happens to have this cute girl cast. So it's deliberately bridging that gap. And I think Hanasaku Iroha was doing something very similar just a few years earlier. You know, but it's less, I guess, kind of blatant about it. Simone, I struggle with, because it's kind of a Yuri show, it's kind of an action show, it's kind of a lot of things. Simone isn't really beholden to one genre. I just kind of put it into drama because I wasn't sure where else to put it, and it is a high stakes, you know, drama series. So you could even just say it's Yuri, and that, like, if it weren't for the fact that the girls are quite so cute and that it does have some element of fan service to it, I would probably not even consider it a cute girls show, but I think it still has a little bit of that. I think it definitely comes from some of the same place. Same with Hitohira. Hitohira is like basically Hibike Euphonium before Hibike Euphonium, but it's almost less cutesy and more feels like a shoujo drama with the Yuri hints. But you know, I still think, I mean, these all showed up in Megami magazine just like anything else with the girls half dressed, you know. Haibane Renmei though, that one, Haibane Renmei like wouldn't fit into this at all if not for the fact that like I feel like Yoshitoshi Abe loves drawing cute girls. Like, you know, it's a show that's focused on a bunch of girls and it feels almost incidental because the show is kind of artsy and because it is so dramatic. Some people said it should even be in Cute Girls Do Suffering. I don't know about that because like that doesn't really start till pretty far into the show, and even then it's more of a melancholy than it is an actual like bad things happening to people kind of thing. But yeah, I still think it feels Cute Girls-ish. Like it still has a cast of all girls who each have these kind of distinctive personalities and stuff, and just because the art looks a little different doesn't mean it's not quite the same. Cute Girls Do Space Adventure. Now this is where we really have the gap bridging, because these shows, a lot of these, simultaneously do feel like... Who the fuck is coming up my stairs?
Emergency, you may have been hacked.
What? Where?
The new video of Masamune-kun, the title's been changed, the description's been changed. Someone says the biggest hack in YouTube history.
What the fuck? Okay, well, I just had all my channels hacked and had to go change passwords for an hour and authenticate things, and now I can get back to what I was talking about. Cute Girls Do Space Adventures. So, even more so than the buddy cop stuff, this I think represents this sort of shifting of interest in anime fans where we have the sci-fi series, which sci-fi was a pretty big genre in the 80s and 90s, and then there's a very clear slant towards these being more and more about the cute girls and not so much about the sci-fi, where the sci-fi is more window dressing to it. Like, when it comes to something like Soul Bianca, that one feels a little bit more like a standard sci-fi space adventure where it just happens to be that they're all girls. And then you get to like Yamamoto Yoko, and the fact that they're a bunch of cute girls is like much more integral to the series. And there's times where it's not even about sci-fi. They're just hanging out in fucking 90s Japan and shit, you know? So this is where we start getting that genre blending a little bit more, and, you know, then you get to Galaxy Angel, which is basically just a moe comedy series in space, and Hokago no Pleiades, which is an after-school club show that happens to have a strong element of space and sci-fi adventure. So, you know, this is even more of a bridging of the gap there that's going on. Now, this is the one that's the least... Cute Girls Doing Cute Things-ish, Cute Girls Do Fan Service Adventure, because these are shows that, for the most part, the girls are more about sex appeal. It's more about the fan service. These are really heavy on fan service shows. You'll notice that all the girls have giant tits in these shows, as opposed to the more cutesy girls we see in the other ones, which does make the atmosphere pretty different, and a lot of these are more action-focused and more plot-centric, but they still are all part of this like all-girl cast, very distinctive personalities of characters and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of the elements of the cute girl shows in them. I think when we look at something like Manyuhi Kensho or Queen's Blade, those won't feel as much like it. Something like Valkyrie Drive Mermaid is a little closer because it has more of the high school element and the cutesy moe girls and the Yuri and everything. All of these have parts of it, though this is probably the farthest from the standard issue of the genre that we're going to get. But I still think it's worth listing here just because, you know, it's part of this kind of world. Like, I want us to look at all these shows and think about what their differences and similarities are, you know, and this still is the all-female cast cult of personality type of show. So it's worth including. Then we've got the idol singing. And these ones, you know, can have crossover with all the other ones. Idolmaster could just be considered a cute girls doing fun things show. Love Live could be considered a high school club show. Locadol could be a cute girls doing a fun thing show. But all of these are tied together, obviously, by the music, the idol culture, and they definitely appeal to a very specific crowd. You know, Akiba 0048's a fucking sci-fi coming-of-age adventure drama series, but it's about Akiba 48, you know, on some level. And especially with Idolmaster and Love Live, like, there is a culture around those shows that is just separate from all the others. So even though these shows could be enjoyed for being cute girls doing cute things shows, they could be enjoyed as high school comedies, they could be enjoyed as that kind of stuff, there's this other strong element to it of the idol thing, which also brings it to this totally other crowd, or this other way of enjoying it and engaging with it, where you've got eventers and people who go to see these voice actresses all the time, and, like, you know, stuff like the music videos that come out of Love Live and shit. Like, there's just a whole other element of culture attached to it that goes beyond merely cute girls doing cute things. Then we got Cute Girls Do Spastic Insanity. This one, again, is essentially cute girls do fun stuff, except taken to some kind of far-off extreme where it's all about how absurd and crazy the situations can get. Some people pointed out it should have I, My, Me included here, which is true, and that maybe Joshiraku belongs down here. I'd have to see Joshiraku more to decide, because I think these shows are more visually intense than that show seems to be. But yeah, these are all just kind of spastic and all over the place. And then you've got obviously Nichijou, which half the time is just a high school show, or a high school after school, or just doing fun things kind of show. But then the other half of the time it goes way overboard into the insane. Cute girls do each other. So this one I was hesitant to include, and a lot of these shows don't really belong on this list. Like, I think Maria Samagamiteru is mostly, it feels like a shoujo anime. It feels like a shoujo drama. And I included it here not because I think it fits the list necessarily, and I say this in the description. See, a lot of the criticism of this chart are from people who obviously didn't read them, where sometimes it says, this doesn't really belong here, but it's important for this reason. Because, as it says here, this is a much bigger crossover genre in manga, and Maria Samagamiteru is highly informative of the sort of Eurytopia kind of story that we see a lot of now, where it's shows that are about cute girls in high school that just happen to all be lesbians, you know? And there's a ton of manga around right now that are like, if it weren't for the fact that the girls are actual gay instead of hinting at being gay, they would just be high school, you know, cute girls do high school shows. But because they have this extra element of the Yuri romance, then it, you know, changes the tone of it a little, and it attracts a different crowd a little bit. So Maria Samagamiteru is not really a cute girls show, but so much of what happens in it and the style of it has informed the cute girl shows that have come out since, that I think it's still really important to the legacy of it. And it's kind of unfortunate because I had to limit myself to anime here for this chart, because, like, Sasameki Koto is a little bit more dramatic, and Strawberry Panic's a little bit more of a romance thing, and Mikagura Gakuen is really kind of just an action show that happens to have lesbians, I would say. Sakura Trick is definitely just, you know, cute girls making out the show. But, like, if I was able to include stuff like Kindred Spirits on the Roof, or the works of Milk Morinaga, which, I mean, those are pretty shoujo-y too, but, like, there's a lot of stuff that's out now on my manga shelf that, you know, is, if I showed it to you, you would think this is basically cute girls do high school, but they just happen to also make out sometimes. Cute girls do nothing, basically. The Iyashike stuff. Super slow pacing. A lot of these have a lot of crossover with the, you know, cute girls do high school genre, or cute girls do supernatural, or cute girls do fun things, but these are just really fucking slow. And, you know, some people would compare some of the other shows from the other categories to this. You know, there's an element of Iyashike to Hidamari Sketch or Nan Nan Biori, but these shows have just so little in the way of comedy, so little in the way of, like, trying to be anything other than relaxing, you know? Like, Flying Witch has a few really hilarious moments, but they're few and far between in a show that is mostly sitting around, and extended scenes of characters, like, peeling corn and making food and stuff like that. You know, it's real slow. Someone pointed out that Tamayura, which I admittedly haven't seen very much of, because I thought it was too fucking slow, has a lot more of the high school elements to it, where there is, like, sort of a graduation. There's that same kind of arc to the story. But, like, the pacing of the show is just so fucking slow, and it's from the same director who has done most of these slice of life shows. Like Iyashikei, I think a lot of the genre is just owed to the fact that they're all directed by, what the fuck is his name? His name's slipping my mind, but the one guy who directed the original Sailor Moon season has gone on to direct like so much of the Iyashikei genre that it almost is more just his directing style than a genre in itself. But like, Tamayura comes from that kind of lineage, so that's why I feel like it belongs in that list, even if you could argue for it being in other ones. Again, these are not really about like creating a hard and fast like rule of like this is the shows that belong to this genre, and this genre is a concrete thing. It's more about the thematic lineages here that we're trying to explore. Cute Girls Do Magic High School. Basically, Cute Girls Do High School meets Cute Girls Do Supernatural, but they're doing magical stuff. They're having fun doing magic shit. I think Tweeny Witches actually, I don't know if it actually was focused in school. I watched like a third of it like 10 years ago, and I don't remember it that well. And when I read the description, it didn't seem to mention school all that much. They look like they're wearing a uniform together, but because that show's very bizarre and takes place in like an otherworldly location. So, but the other ones are pretty straightforward. Cute Girls Do Improv CG Sketch Comedy. Very new genre of these, exactly what it says on the tin. And this is where I get into where I was saying that, like, not everything on this list is necessarily good. It's just examples. Naria Girls is terrible, but it's, it's a fifth slot, and it's part of this lineage, and I wanted to portray that. There's a chance that we will eventually have 5 great shows that I could put on this chart. But, for now, Cute Girls Do It, These are the saucier ones, where it's about cute girls talking about raunchy shit and not just being perfect, pure, innocent goddesses, but they're still a bunch of cute girls. And I think this fulfills a niche of people who, want their cute girls doing cute things, but they don't have to be fucking angels, We can tolerate a level of raunchiness from it. And then Cute Girls Do Art House, which is like the newest genre, where I really think that there's this emergent trend of these shows that are clearly borrowing from these cute girls' stories, but are taking it and doing something really weird with it. Like Rolling Girls is, by all accounts, a 4 cute girls go on an adventure kind of show. But they go on an adventure through weird locations, and the plot doesn't make sense at all. Yuri Kuma is... I mean, you could call it a shoujo romance drama to some extent, but at the same time, it just happens to be a bunch of really adorable girls, and they have a lot of moe traits, Flip Flappers is similar. Someone pointed out that Windy Tales should be in here. I struggle to think of the Windy Tales girls as cute, and I've only seen the first episode of the show, but it does have a lot in common with these genres, and if anything... I wouldn't like the artwork itself is art house looking, but the actual narrative of the show seems like a pretty normal high school show. So I don't even know if that would be an art house or if it should just be in Cute Girls Do High School. But yeah, there's stuff that's missing from this list. Some people have made some good suggestions here and there. Read the threads on anywhere that this has been posted. My subreddit has some suggestions that I thought were good. I would have gone through and like modified this and stuff, but now that it's kind of getting out there, I just got to explain what's here while it's here. So I hope you enjoyed this chart, and that you'll find some use in it beyond. It's not really a recommendation chart so much as here's a way of thinking about the cute girls genre chart that I spent way too much time on because I just like making lists of things. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.